the bright lights of Fox News Hannity. The studio in New York City buzzed with energy. The crowd, a mix of suits and curious onlookers, clapped as the cameras rolled. It was June 7th, 2025, and the air felt electric. Senator J.D. Vance, Ohio's outspoken Republican, adjusted his tie, his sharp eyes scanning the set. Known for his bold, America First talk, he was ready to make waves. Sean Hannity, the host, leaned forward, his voice booming. "So, Senator Vance, what's your take on America's role in global security?" The audience hushed, sensing a big moment. Vance grinned, his confidence filling the room. "Let me tell you, Sean, America's got to stay strong. We can't let other countries push us around or mess with our interests." The studio's red and blue lights glared, casting shadows on Vance's face. The crowd nodded, some whispering, excitedly. Hannity steered the conversation to Africa, mentioning rising tensions in the Sahel. "What about leaders like Ibrahim Traor in Burkina Faso?" he asked, his tone sharp. Vance's smile tightened, his fingers tapping the armrest. The name Traore hung in the air, like a spark ready to ignite. Phones in the audience glowed as viewers tweeted, the hashtag Hannity is trending fast. Producers behind the scenes checked monitors, knowing Vance's next words could go viral. The set, with its sleek desk and American flag backdrop, felt like a battleground. Vance leaned in, his voice low but firm. "I'm not afraid to call it like I see it, Sean. Some leaders out there? They're trouble." The tension was thick, the crowd holding its breath. Everyone knew Vance was about to drop a bomb, and the world, especially in Ouagadougou, was watching. The Fox News, Hannity. The studio hummed with tension as Sean Hannity leaned in, eyes sharp. "What about Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, Senator?" he asked, his voice cutting through the air. The crowd, packed tight in the New York set, went quiet, phones ready to capture every word. J.D. Vance, Ohio's fiery senator, didn't miss a beat, his face hardening. "That guy's trouble," Vance snapped, his American drawl bold. "Traore's cozying up to Russia, letting their mercenaries run wild in Burkina Faso. He's selling off gold reserves to line his junta's pockets, not his people's. It's a mess, Sean, and it's bad for Africa." The accusations, echoing, U.S. concerns from April 2025, hit hard. The studio's big screens flashed clips of Burkina Faso's dusty streets, amplifying Vance's words. The live broadcast streamed on Fox's website, and X lit up with gear Traor slammed trending. Viewers tweeted furiously, some cheering Vance's blunt talk, others slamming it. In the audience, a few clapped loudly, while others whispered, shocked at the senator's nerves. A producer in the control room grinned, knowing the clip was going viral. "This'll be everywhere," he muttered, checking X posts spiking by the second. Vance leaned back, arms crossed, his smirk saying he meant every word. The crowd's mixed reaction, cheers from some, gasps from others, filled the studio. Hannity nodded, pushing on. "Strong words, Senator. You think Traore's listening?" Vance chuckled. "He better be. America's watching, and we don't back down." The moment felt like a spark in a dry field, ready to ignite a global fire. In Ouagadougou, Traore's team was already tuning in, and the world braced for what came next. In Ouagadougou's presidential palace, the air was thick with focus. It was June 7, 2025, hours after J.D. Vance's attack on Fox News. Ibrahim Traore, Burkina Faso's young leader, sat at a carved wooden desk, a woven kente cloth draped nearby, symbolizing Burkinabe pride. A TV replayed Vance's words, the sound low but sharp. Traore's eyes narrowed, his jaw tight, but his face stayed calm. His advisors, a small group of trusted military officers, stood nearby, their faces serious but composed. One, Colonel Diallo, adjusted his cap and spoke up. "Sir, did you see what Vance said on Hannity? He called you a Russian puppet, said you're misusing gold reserves." Traore's fingers tapped a pen, each click deliberate. He leaned back, his green military uniform crisp, his gaze steady. "I heard," he said, his voice low but firm. We'll answer, but we'll do it our way. The room's mud brick walls, adorned with Burkinabe art, grounded the moment in local pride. Traoré stood, pacing slowly, his boots clicking on the tiled floor. He glanced at a map of the Sahel, pinned with markers showing jihadist threats. Vance thinks he can lecture us, he said almost to himself. He'll learn that Burkina Faso speaks for itself. Diallo nodded, pulling out a tablet. Should we prep a press conference, sir? Traoré stopped, his eyes sharp with purpose. Yes, but not yet. We'll hit back with facts, not noise. The advisors exchanged looks, sensing a big move coming. Outside, Ouagadougou's evening bustle hummed, unaware of the storm brewing inside. Traoré's calm hit a fire, ready to ignite a response that would shake the world. The U.S. media exploded after J.D. Vance's attack on Ibrahim Traoré on Fox News' Hannity on June 7, 2025. Fox News pundits cheered Vance's bold words, with one analyst, Tom Barker, grinning on air. Vance nailed it. He's protecting America's interests from leaders like Traoré who buddy up with Russia, he said, fist bumping the host. But on the New York Times podcast, critics pushed back hard. Enter Rachel Kim, a foreign affairs reporter for The Washington Post. On CNN's The Situation Room, she shook her head. Hold on, Vance's attack was way too harsh. Calling Traoré a puppet ignores Burkina Faso's fight for independence. We need the full story. Her calm, sharp voice cut through the noise, urging viewers to look deeper into Traoré's policies, like his 2024 gold export reforms. X was a storm of hashtags. Das Vance vs Traoré and I Burkina Faso trended with 500,000 posts overnight. Clips of Vance's gold reserves jab looped on TikTok, sparking heated comments. Some Americans praised Vance's tough talk, but others, especially African diaspora groups, called it arrogant. In Africa, Al Jazeera's Nairobi bureau reported, Burkina Faso awaits Traoré's response, expecting a fiery rebuttal. TV panels buzzed, from MSNBC to Newsmax, dissecting Vance's motives. Was he rallying his base or escalating tensions? In Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso's state TV replayed Vance's clip, with local analysts predicting a strong comeback. The world, from Lagos to Paris, watched closely, sensing Traoré wouldn't stay quiet. Rachel Kim, scribbling notes in her DC office, knew her next article could shift the narrative. The media frenzy was a wildfire, and everyone waited for Traoré to light the next spark. Rachel Kim sat in her cluttered Washington Post office in DC, the glow of her laptop lighting her face on June 8, 2025. J.D. Vance's attack on Ibrahim. Traoré still echoed online, but Rachel wanted the real story on Burkina Faso. She dug into reports on Traoré's 2024 gold nationalization policy, which aimed to keep profits local but sparked trade disputes. The complexity intrigued her. She called John Bolton, a retired U.S. ambassador to Mali, for insight. Over coffee at a DC cafe, Rachel scribbled notes. I'm writing a piece on Burkina Faso, she said, her voice earnest. What's really going on with Traoré? Bolton sipped his drink, his brow furrowed. It's not simple. Traoré's pushing gold reforms to fund schools, but jihadist attacks in the north are killing his progress. Rachel pored over UN reports and X posts from Burkinabe locals, seeing both praise for Traoré's anti-corruption moves and fear of ongoing violence. She interviewed a Sahel expert via Zoom, jotting down stats. 60% of Burkina Faso's land faced insurgent threats in 2025. Her goal was a balanced report, not a cheerleading piece for either side. Vance called him a puppet, she muttered. But there's more to this. Back at her desk, Rachel cross-checked data, her phone buzzing with news alerts. Bolton's words stuck. Traoré's reforms, like taxing foreign mining firms, aimed to rebuild Burkina Faso, but security woes. And Russian ties complicated things. She typed furiously, aiming to show both Traoré's bold vision and his challenges. This wasn't about picking a winner. It was about truth. Her report could shift how Americans saw the Vance-Traoré clash, and she felt the weight of getting it right. On June 9, 2025, Ouagadougou's National Conference Hall buzzed with anticipation. Ibrahim Traor stepped to the podium for an emergency press conference, his green military uniform sharp, a woven Burkinabe scarf across his chest symbolizing pride. The room, lined with colorful kente tapestries, was packed with local journalists and Al Jazeera crews, cameras streaming live on Burkina Faso's state TV, and Traor's voice was steady, his eyes fierce. "Senator Vance calls me a Russian puppet robbing our gold," he said, his tone cutting like a blade. "We're not his pawn. In 2024, we nationalized gold mines, keeping profits to build 200 schools. Our kids learn. Our nation grows." The crowd erupted in applause, fists raised as reporters scribbled furiously. He cited 2025 data, 10,000 new classrooms since his reforms. A local reporter stood. "Sir, how do you answer Vance's claims about Russia?" Traoré leaned forward. "We choose our partners freely. Unlike America's wars in Libya, we fight for Burkina Faso, not foreign agendas." His words, sharp and unapologetic, drew gasps and cheers. The hall's energy surged with some chanting, "Vive Traoré!" as cameras zoomed in. The speech streamed on YouTube, racking up 100,000 views in hours. Burkina Faso's Sidwaya newspaper ran live updates, while African outlets like the East African praised Traoré's defiance. In the front row, a young journalist tweeted, "Traoré just owned Vance." The confident rebuttal, rooted in real achievements, turned Vance's attack into a rallying cry. Traoré raised a hand, silencing the room. "Burkina Faso stands tall," he said, his voice echoing. The world knew his response would shake the stage Vance had set. Ibrahim Traoré's June 9, 2025, speech lit up the internet. His fiery words from Ouagadougou's conference hall hit X and TikTok like a storm, with Traor fights back trending at 1.2 million posts by noon. A clip of his quote, "Burkina Faso stands tall, not under America's shadow," racked up 500,000 views on YouTube. African activists in Lagos and Bamako shared it, chanting his name. In Mali and Niger, leaders of the Alliance of Sahel States praised Traoré's defiance. Mali's president tweeted, "Traoré speaks for Africa." Protests popped up in Accra, with students waving signs saying, "Vance, hands off Burkina." Al Jazeera ran a special, calling Traoré's speech a game changer. On X, a Kenyan activist posted that, quote, "Burkina Faso stands tall, says it all. Vance got schooled." Back in D.C., J.D. Vance's team huddled in a Capitol Hill office, screens flashing with Traoré's viral clips. An aide, Sarah Brooks, scrolled X, her face pale. "Boss, this is blowing up online," she said, voice tense. "Traoré's getting hero status. We gotta fix this." Vance, jaw clenched, watched the trending hashtag #ArfVanceSlammed "He's twisting my words," he muttered, slamming a fist on the desk. African diaspora groups in London posted TikTok, remixing Traoré's speech with beats, amplifying his call for sovereignty. South Africa's Mail and Guardian ran a headline, "Traoré's rebuttal shakes U.S. narrative." The support wasn't universal. Some European outlets stayed neutral, but Traoré's words shifted the vibe. His bold stand, rooted in real reforms like 2024's gold policy, made Vance's attack look shallow. The world buzzed, waiting for the senator's next move as Traoré's voice echoed louder. On June 9, 2025, J.D. Vance's D.C. office was in chaos. His team scrambled as Rachel Kim's Washington Post, the report, "Truth Behind Traoré, Burkina Faso's Fight," hit 2 million views online. The article, posted after Traoré's viral speech, detailed his 2024 gold reforms and security struggles, quoting locals. Vance's aide, Sarah Brooks, paced, phone in hand. "This reporter's killing us, Senator," she said. "X is all over it." Rachel's report featured Awa Ouedraogo, a Burkinabe activist with the Sahel Youth Network, based in New York. Awa, who'd pushed for African sovereignty since 2023, told Rachel, "This report shows the truth about Burkina Faso. Traor's building schools, not stealing gold. Her words, backed by data on 10,000 new classrooms, spread fast on X, with shock-sure truth about Traor trending at 800,000 posts. Vance, red-faced, snapped, "That reporter's twisting everything. Can we push back?" His team issued a vague statement. Senator Vance supports strong U.S. policy. It flopped, mocked on MSNBC as weak sauce. Polls on CNN showed 40% of Americans now doubted Vance's attack, with comments calling him out of touch. Awa's X post, "Vance doesn't get Africa," got 50,000 likes. Rachel, working late in her D.C. office, got calls from The Guardian for follow-ups. Her report, citing Awa and John Bolton's insights, framed Traor's defiance as a stand against U.S. arrogance. In Ohio, Vance's supporters rallied, but others questioned his harsh words. Awa, speaking at a diaspora event, urged, "Look at Burkina's progress, not rumors." The crisis grew, with Vance's team desperate to shift the narrative as Rachel's report reshaped how Americans saw the clash. On June 9, 2025, Ouagadougou's conference center glowed with Burkina flags hosting the Sahel Summit. Leaders from 15 countries, including Mali and Niger, filled the hall, its walls adorned with kente murals. Ibrahim Traor, in a sharp military uniform, took the stage. "We propose a 2025 Sahel Development Fund," he declared, voice strong. "It'll fund schools and clinics led by Africans." The crowd, including delegates from Chad and Senegal, clapped loudly. Al Jazeera streamed the event live, with 200,000 viewers tuning in. Traor's plan, backed by 2024 gold revenue data, aimed to raise $500 million for regional growth. John Bolton, retired U.S. ambassador, spoke next. "The U.S. messed up in Burkina Faso pushing old policies," he said, his gravelly voice earnest. "We need to listen to Africa's vision." In D.C., J.D. Vance faced heat in a Capitol Hill meeting. Polls showed 45% of Americans now saw his Traor attack as rash. "We gotta cool this down, Senator," urged aide Sarah Brooks, scrolling X where the Sahel Summit trended. Vance, rubbing his temples, muttered, "I didn't expect him to rally like this." Republican allies pushed for diplomacy, fearing lost trade ties. Bolton's speech, admitting U.S. missteps in the Sahel, got nods from delegates. "America must partner, not preach," he added, drawing applause. Traor, standing tall, shook hands with Mali's leader, signaling unity. The summit's buzz hit TikTok, with clips of Traor's proposal gaining 300,000 likes. Back in Ohio, Vance's team drafted a softer statement, feeling the pressure to pivot. The conference was a bold move, and Traor's plan was setting a new tone for global talks. On June 9, 2025, after tense talks, the U.S. agreed to back Burkina Faso's 2025 Sahel Development Fund with John Bolton as envoy. In a D.C. press room, J.D. Vance faced reporters. "I got it wrong in Burkina Faso," he said, voice steady. "Traor's got a plan. Let's work together." The partial apology, rare for Vance, trended on X with Vance backs down. In Ouagadougou, Ibrahim Traor nodded at the news, standing in his office. "This fund is just the start for us," he told aides, eyeing a map of new schools. By July, the fund had raised $50 million funding 10 schools in Burkina Faso's north, though jihadist attacks still threatened progress. Al Jazeera reported early wins, but challenges loomed. Rachel Kim, back at the Washington Post, wrote a follow-up, Sahel's New Hope, hitting 1 million views. She started a book on U.S.-Africa ties, weaving in Traor's story. Awa Ouedraogo, the Burkinabe activist, launched a Sahel Youth Network chapter in D.C. saying, "We're showing Burkina's truth." Her talks drew 500 at a New York rally. Vance, in Ohio, met voters, promising smarter foreign policy. His team noted a 10% approval dip, but saw a chance to rebuild. The fund's first school opened in Dori, with 200 kids enrolled, shared on TikTok with 100,000 likes. Yet security costs ate 20% of the budget, a reminder of Burkina's struggles. The U.S.-Burkina Faso rift eased with cautious hope for trade talks. Traor's global clout grew, but he faced local pressure to curb violence. Rachel and Awa's work kept the story alive, proving words could shift worlds, even if the road ahead stayed rocky.